Yeah, g'day everyone. Welcome to Sky Racing. Well, the name Zach Purton is very well known in our sport of kings globally, but especially in Hong Kong, a jurisdiction he's been based since the 2007-2008 season. And Zach is on the cusp of something very special yet again in Hong Kong racing. In only a few winners' time, he may become the most winningest jockey that Hong Kong has ever seen, a jurisdiction that has seen many a good hoop ride there over the time. And amongst a busy schedule leading into some Group 1s this weekend, Zach's been kind enough to give us his time here this morning on Sky. Zach, good morning to you, mate.
Good morning. It's good to be on.
Well, only 3 more wins to equal the record and 4 more to take the record outright by yourself. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. We're very close to it now. They can't stop me. It's going to happen. So it's starting to get exciting now. It's something that I hadn't given too much thought to until recently. Even 18 months ago, I wasn't really thinking about it because I wasn't sure if I was still going to be here. My body was starting to let me down. I was struggling. I was in a bit of pain, and I thought enough was going to be enough. But we decided to go on a little bit longer, and then that obviously put it within reach. And then I've just been ticking over, sort of banging as many winners as I could in between now and then here we are. We're on the doorstep.
You make a pretty good point regarding the trials and tribulations of being a jockey, especially in your career, regarding injury and how your body holds up. So to be able to break this record and become the most successful jockey in Hong Kong, what do you think that'll really mean to you by the time it's said and done?
I think it'll mean a lot, but at the end of the day, it just means that I've been given a lot of opportunity. I've had good support. I've ridden a lot of good horses. I've been very lucky in my time here. It's hard enough to ride one winner in Hong Kong, let alone over 1,800, and now on the doorstep of that record. So I need to thank everyone for their support, and without them, I wouldn't be here.
When you started in Hong Kong in that 07-08 season and the years went on and you really started to get a foothold in there, did you ever even imagine that this record set by Douglas White, that it could be something that you could take out?
No, I didn't. In that first season, I had a 6-month contract, and my goal was just to see the 6 months out. I was come over here for some experience. I wanted to learn off the best jockeys in the world. I wanted to compare myself against them and see where I was at. But the goal really was to try and be a better jockey and then go back to Australia and try and dominate back there. But for whatever reason, even though it was a struggle and it was hard and I wasn't getting too many opportunities in that first season, I just enjoyed the racing, the city, the lifestyle, and we decided to stay on a little bit longer. And then obviously things got a little bit better. I still rode 27 winners in that first season, which for a lot of jockeys is a good season for them here. But I felt like I sort of wasn't going that well. But fortunately for me, for the first 10 years, I rode more winners the next season than I did the previous season. So I continually just got better, kept getting the support, and then, I can't remember when I won my first championship. I think it was in 2012. Obviously the last decade's been very good.
Speaking of your first Jockey's Premiership there, you actually ended the reign of Douglas White, who had held it for 12 or more seasons. You then broke his prize money record, albeit, of course, Hong Kong racing's grown in prize money stakes over the years, and now you're about to take his record of overall wins. Mate, I'm surprised he hasn't tried to buy you a plane ticket back to Australia.
He certainly tried to get me out of here a few times, don't worry about that. But he could see the threat coming, and that's part of being a champion, being able to identify the young fella coming through that could possibly take your crown. And it was a good fight between the two of us back in those days, and obviously he's doing a good job as a trainer now.
I saw an interview of him and he said if anyone was to break it or is to break it, I'm glad that it's going to be Zach Purton. So it seems like there's a really healthy level of respect and competition between clearly two greats of the sport there in Hong Kong.
Yeah, it wasn't as if we ever had an argument or a falling out or anything like that. We just weren't really friends. He was in his zone, he was doing his own thing. He didn't have any time for the young kid on the way through. And of course, he didn't want to give any of his secrets away. He was very determined in keeping himself within his own bubble. So there was no way I was going to get within his inner sanctum, and that's the way he operated. And I just had to keep chipping away at him, and try to bring a little bit of banter into it, as the Australians do in their sport, towards the end of it. But he's retired now. He's comfortable with the career he had, and he's focusing on training horses now. So he's in a completely different mindset and position now than what he was back then.
Mate, speaking of competition and rivals, I think one of the greatest parts of this record is that in every race you ride in, there's 8, 10, 12, 14 plus other jockeys trying to win, and in most cases that means that they're trying to beat you. Have you had some really good rivalries and healthy competition over the course of your Hong Kong career so far, and are there any that really stand out to you?
Yeah, I have, and that's one of the great things about Hong Kong racing. As you touched on, we have 12 runners at Happy Valley on a Wednesday and 14 at Sha Tin on a Sunday, and they're trained by 12, 14 different trainers and ridden by jockeys that have been really successful in every corner of the globe. They're champion jockeys in their own right. They come here with big reputations. They're hand-picked by the Jockey Club to come here, so it's a really competitive jockeys room, and with the handicapping system, every horse theoretically has a chance in the race, and more often than not it comes down to the barrier we draw, track bias, rail positions, things like that. And it's really, really hard just to ride a winner. It's not like in the UK or Australia where you might have 5 or 6 horse fields and one horse dominates and things like that. It's a lot more competitive here, so it is hard. And then the rivalries that come with it, obviously. Brett Preble and Douglas White were at the top of the list when I arrived. Olivier Deleuze was there snapping on their heels. And then Joe Moreira come along, and he was probably, I probably wasn't really in a position to challenge Douglas properly whilst Brett was here and for a long period of time. And then I just got to that position where it was about myself and Douglas, and then no sooner did that rivalry start to form that Moreira come along, and then it was myself and him for, a decade, and now I'm without both of them, so the life's a little bit easier. But there are still a lot of guys within that room that have got me in their sights.
Yeah, I'm sure when J-Mac and now Bowman over there riding as well provides a bit of competition. Is there we know jockeys are very competitive by nature, and yourself certainly no different. Is there a world that without those rivalries in the early doors and then later on with Moreira and now even with J-Mac and co, that without them making you strive to get all these winners, that this record at some stage may not have been possible?
That's possible. Anything's possible. You don't know how things are going to play out without being in the position that you're in at the time, but I feel like I come at the right age. I feel like I learnt a lot off a lot of really experienced jockeys when I first arrived, and I go through the list of those guys. It was Douglas White, Brett Preble, Olivier Deleuze, Eric Saint-Martin, Gerald Mosse, Danny Nikolic, Shane Dye, Glenn Boss, Kevin Shea, Darren Bevan, Felix Kutzi, Anthony Delpeche. So that was a really strong group of jockeys that were mature as well. So they certainly knew how to ride. They were very confident in what they did, and they all had their own strengths and some of their weaknesses as well. So it was great for me to be able to study all those guys in my formative years here in Hong Kong, and that is one of the greatest things about Hong Kong. It's the melting pot of world racing to a certain degree. And then we had guys like Ryan Moore, Christophe Soumillon, Barcelona, Guillaume, Lemaire, Ryan Moore, William Buick, Frankie Dettori, I'm just trying to remember, Mick Kinane he was sort of just at the end of it. Kieran Fallon was just at the end of it. But I could probably go on, Yutaki Taki from Japan. I could go on and on about all the jockeys that have been here, especially in those early years. And it was great for me. It helped shape me as a rider. I learnt a lot, and it really laid the platform and the foundation to build on the jockey that I already was, and ultimately put me in the position that I'm in now.
It's incredible. You've basically just listed the top 20 of the last 20 years. So full kudos to getting to the record. Out of the 1,810 wins so far, and this could be a little tricky question, but is there a favourite win of them all that stands out, or maybe even a top three through your time?
Yeah, I have a few. If I was restricted to restrict it to here in Hong Kong, I think Beauty Generations Hong Kong Mile win when he was 5 in front with 50 to go. He demolished a truly world-class field that day, littered with Group 1 winners that were in really good form. That was a demolition job and one that I was, it's a real highlight for me. Another one was Exultant when he kicked back in the bars to beat Liz Grishu. And then she went on to win the Cox Plate after that, and back in Japan. I thought that was, a unique performance because it's not often a horse gets headed and then kicks back to win again. More recently, KU Rising breaking the track record was great. Ambitious Dragon in his mile win. Massive Sovereigns Derby win was very exciting. Winning on Aero Velocity in Japan was great. Winning at Royal Ascot on Little Bridge, I really enjoyed. So there are a lot of highlights there, and I've just been very lucky to have ridden a lot of really, top line great horses along the way.
Is there a race in Hong Kong every year that it comes around that you may pick as your favourite, or that you're most pleased to win in, or have won in the past?
I really like the international meeting in December. It's our first big meeting of the year. I think it's our biggest meeting of the year as well. And it's at the right time of year. It's at the end of the year. Everyone comes here looking for a little bit of a holiday, but the excitement that Hong Kong brings as well. The IJC on Wednesday night flows through to the gala, and then the race meeting on the Sunday. So I really look forward to that meeting.
All right, let's chat what's coming up this Sunday. Of course, the chance to break the record. You've got 7 rides, and as we mentioned off the top, you need 4 wins to claim that outright. 2 of your better chances, I would think, will start with KU Rising in the Centenary Sprint Cup. What did you make of the win in the Hong Kong Sprint? Perhaps not the huge margin that some were expecting, but from your eyes and your feel, what was it like?
Yeah, he ran nearly a second slower when he won the Hong Kong Sprint than he did the start before when he broke the track record. And you're not going to break a track record every time. The tracks are always slightly different. Tempo of the race is different. Barrier draws, things like that. But I thought it was a really good win. He was slightly slow to step. I had to use him to get a position. He had a horse outside him, eyeballing him, ahead in front of him, all the way around the circle. So I never got a chance to relax. And he was still able to win. So I thought that was great, but he's going to have to be as good or probably better this weekend. He's drawn the outside in a small field of 8 runners, so they're going to make it hard for him. I can't really see where I'm going to get in, so he might get posted. And if that's the case, it's going to give horses like Helios Express and How Deep Is Your Love, who are both in great form, a chance to beat him. And in the smaller field, they're not going to be as far away or as far behind him as what they normally would be, and they've got great closing sectionals, so it's going to be a very competitive race.
Obviously, it could be result dependent, but what's the plan with KU Rising? Obviously, there's the Speed Series there in Hong Kong, a 4-year-old series, but I guess all the chat, especially here in Australia, has been regarding a Tab Everest tilt. Is that, if you had your way, the way that you'd want to lean with him and come and partner him here?
Yeah, for sure. The Everest is right there on the table. We'd love to go. It's just a matter of him continuing to show up and show us that he deserves to go. But from what we've seen and from everything that he's done, he certainly deserves to have his place in the field, and David's certainly going to target that race. So that's where we're heading, and hopefully we can get there.
At his best, if he lobbed in an Everest, obviously you don't know what the field is, but knowing what we know with the crop of horses that we have, you'd think he'd have to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, exactly. He runs the times. I know it's a different surface down there in Australia, but he loves the dirt track here in Hong Kong. He's been successful on a track with a bit of give in it. He goes great, obviously, on top of the ground. So I don't think it would really matter what type of surface we got on the day. And I think he runs a strong 1200, which, you really need to be competitive in the Everest, and he's got that great gate speed, so he's going to put himself in the right spot. I'd love to ride him in it, and I think he'd be pretty hard to beat.
Another ride on Sunday is Beauty Eternal in the Group 1 Stewards Cup, second in the race last year. What have you made of its runs leading in this time around?
He's been really disappointing this season. He hasn't fronted up yet. He was really good at the end of last season when he won the mile, when he beat Golden 60, albeit the track that day had a little bit of give in it, which I think helped Beauty Eternal. He relaxed beautifully in front and he gave a good kick. But he's been racing a bit fierce this season. We weren't able to get him to relax in his first couple of runs, so he had the earplugs go in, the Norton bit go on. He was more tractable last time. He's probably not going to be able to lead this race. Once again, he's drawn the outside gate in a small field, and we have California Spangle, who loves to lead, drawn low. He'll probably take it up. I'll probably end up outside him, but I just don't know where he's at. He's trialling well. He's good in the mornings. He's just not showing it on race day at the moment. So his challenge is to show up race day and be as good as he can.
I'll tell you what, the barrier gods aren't making it very easy for you to break this record, especially in those two features, posting you out wide. Of the 7 rides, let's say maybe outside of the 2 we've touched on, have you got one that you're most keen on, or one that maybe you think will bring up that career-defining win a little later on in the card?
Yeah, I haven't looked too much through the fields yet. I just quickly skipped through the barriers when they come out. But With a Smile's the first starter that I think can run well. Lightyear's Charm draws well after having 2 nice runs. He's got a chance. Stunning Peach, I possibly could ride in the Derby, but he has drawn 12 or 13 from the 2000 and he missed a run, so he's going to find it hard to get the right spot in the race, but I'm looking forward to riding him because I think he's a nice horse. So they're probably the horses that spring to the top of my mind at the moment, and hopefully I can find 4 winners there. I don't have a full book. I think I've only got 6 or 7 rides, so I'm going to need a few of them to get over the line.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to watch it unfold, Zach. They say records are meant to be broken, and hopefully for you and for all tuning in and fans of Hong Kong racing and racing globally, that can happen this Sunday, mate. We really appreciate your time. Best of luck there on a big day for you and your family and everyone who's supported you so far throughout your career.
Yeah, no worries, and well put, of course. It's not just about me, it's about my family and friends, and obviously everyone back in Australia. I try and fly the flag for the Aussies over here proudly, and hopefully people appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate the support that I get from home, so thank you.